Free time. Is it really free? Or is it a prison? If you're struggling with guilt, it can be a curse. You may have thought these things. I have so much time. I should give God my time. But I'm not giving my time. I am feeling guilty. I should do better. And that's a lot to deal with underneath the surface when we already have so many things that we're juggling. Is there a way forward? Can I escape guilt? Well, I have 5 questions for us, and I hope they bring freedom. I think it's important to acknowledge that our free time, quote unquote, comes from a global emergency, inability to gather, and stay-at-home orders. If you ask me, that time doesn't feel very free. If anything, this time feels like confinement. And when you really think about it, these are very unusual sources of free time. I would even go as far to say it's not free time at all, but more like unfiltered time. This next question deals with the innate understanding that God wants our all, therefore I give my time. But first things first, God wants our faith, God wants our love, and because of those, we give time. I would even say, God doesn't want our unfiltered time. He wants it filtered through faith and love. Listen to the word. All that matters is your faith that makes you love others. Don't let your guilt trick you into skipping faith and love. Many burn out that way. With this question, I want to address the obstacles to giving time, filtered or not. Right now, every person is unsafe. Relationships are uprooted. Wi-Fi is now communal life. There's no identity without community. The virtual is not as good as the physical. And we're all inwardly grieving. Numbers 1 through 5. This is our reality in the midst of quarantine. And it goes against how we were made biologically, how we're meant to grow developmentally, our health psychologically. We just simply need people around us. For those who have been feeling guilty, I want to remind you, God sees the pain. God is fair, not cruel. God is compassionate, and God is a forgiver. Any guilt that ignores these things about God deserves to be ignored. Listen to the word. In those days, at that time, declares the Lord, search will be made for Israel's guilt, but there will be none, and for the sins of Judah, but none will be found. For I will forgive the remnant I spare. Whatever guilt we have before God is completely eradicated by His forgiveness. His forgiveness totally washes it away. Now for some takeaways to act on. Discern the difference between free and unfiltered time. When you give anything to God, start with faith and love, not guilt. Grieve the loss of community. We all miss each other. Recognize God's character. It is very much different from guilt. Confess, agree, be forgiven. That washes guilt away. And if guilt returns, confess again. And lastly, pray for reunion. If you practice these, the chains of guilt will break off until they're all gone.